Before I ask Gene to come up, I'd like to invite up and welcome Los Angeles City Council member Joe Buscaino. If you could all give him a round of applause.
Thank you, John. It's great to be here to officially welcome you on behalf of Mayor Garcetti and the entire LA City Council to America's Port. And the reason why we are America's Port and we are leading in the goods movement is because of each and every one of you. Our partners, our terminal operators, America's Port Director and Gene Seroka, the leadership led by Jamie Lee, our commission president, the entire commission, our premier maritime law enforcement agency that's keeping us safe, the Port Police Department, and I just am so blessed to be a part of this operation and leading in the city as the chairman of our Trade, Travel, and Tourism Committee. So officially I'd like to welcome you, and to Gene, we are so looking forward to what you have to share with us, but we damn well know that the future is bright here at the Port of Los Angeles, and we want to thank each and every one of you and PMSA for leading this, and today's event will benefit two incredible nonprofits in our community, and that's the Seafarers Center as well as EXP, and we thank you for that. So with that, I'll turn it back over to John. Welcome.
And as Joe said, we are very lucky to have Gene. He actually needs no introduction, but I feel obligated to at least do a short introduction because we all know him and have worked with him for a while. Gene's the executive director of the Port of Los Angeles. He was nominated by Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti and confirmed by the LA City Council in June of 2014. He brings more than 30 years of experience in shipping, global logistics, and executive management. Gene joined APL in 1988. He has an MBA and a Bachelor of Science in Marketing from the University of New Orleans. My apologies for last weekend's game, how that turned out. While at APL, Gene was located in Shanghai, Jakarta, Singapore, Dubai, before moving to the most interesting and exotic location of all, Phoenix, Arizona, where he served as president of Americas for APL and managed their shipping business, oversaw 1,000 employees, was responsible for all commercial, port terminal, intermodal, land transportation, and labor activities throughout the region. It is my pleasure and honor to welcome Gene Seroka to give our State of the Port address.
Thank you, John. And Councilman, thanks for those great remarks. Really appreciate it. And to Michelle Grubbs, I think we have the Southern California chapter of the University of New Orleans Alumni Association here. Between Michelle, myself, and somewhere in the audience is Bill Mongaluza. But again, thank you to the entire PMSA team for organizing this event. I also want to thank our platinum sponsor, Toyota. Ash is here today, and all the work that TAC and so many others are doing in the hydrogen fuel cell. Houston Terminals, Alan McCorkle, good friend and colleague for a long time, is our sponsor as well. And then the 22 silver sponsors. Thank you for your great generosity. This is a fantastic way to kick off the new year and benefit both the International Seafarers Center as well as EXP. Our local Seafarers Center provides hospitality and resources to more than 12,000 mariners annually. Thanks to Guy Fox and Captain Dick McKenna for all that you do for our crews. Under the leadership of Amy Gratt, EXP brings more than 6,400 high school students from around Southern California to our ports every year, inspiring them to expand their knowledge about careers here at the nation's largest trade gateway. Thank you, Amy. It is a privilege to serve as your executive director at the Port of Los Angeles, and it's an honor to stand before you to deliver my fourth State of the Port address. And to that end, I would like to thank Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti and our Board of Harbor Commissioners, led by Jamie Lee, Ed Renwick, Anthony Perozzi, and Lucia Moreno-Linares, for all their guiding support and confidence that they have shared in me. Thank you all very much. I also want to express my appreciation for the nearly 900 Harbor Department employees that do this work every day with our customers, our partners, and our stakeholders to keep this running at top speed. All the work that these folks do really goes recognized by the folks that count. And today I also want to thank our communications and graphics team for all the support you provide every year at this event. Lee Smith, Steph, Ken is here today as well, Don, and so many others, Arlie Baker, Philip Sandfield, that really put on this great show, and Teresa Adams-Lopez. Thank you all very much. "2018 was an unbelievable year, but before I begin, I would ask that we all take a moment to reflect on the recent passing of Labor Leader and Harbor Commission Vice President Dave Arian. I would like to dedicate this year's State of the Port to Dave, because in countless ways, today's event is a reflection of his work. Dave passed away on January the 2nd after a short battle with an aggressive form of thyroid cancer. Our harbor community lost a leader, our port family lost a friend and a mentor. But Dave's vision and voice will never be lost on us. He has forever influenced how we view the meaning and significance of our collective efforts. He has also left us with a deeper understanding of what a port is and what it ought to be. But rather than describe this, why don't we share something in Dave's own words?
Well, you know, when I started on the waterfront in 1964, there was very few containers, and the transition has been amazing, you know, and if you look around the harbor, you'll see smaller ships that carry 2,000, 3,000, and now we've got 20,000 TEU container ships, and as a result of that, you know, we're now moving more containers than any other port in the country. And I just think that it's important for us to see not only the question of movement of cargo, but what does it do for the community to make a difference in the lives of each and every person that lives in this community. Well, you know, I think the Port of LA, you know, has a dual responsibility. One, to, you know, maximize our profits, you know, off what we make, particularly off the container operations or terminals. But at the same time, you know, we have a social responsibility to the community. And so much of everything in terms of what the community looks at is not these big projects, but projects like this. The thing that makes all this possible, when you look out at these cranes that are working, and you count the number of cranes working, and you see 50 or 60 cranes working, that's money coming into the port. And that's what makes events like this possible. People are recognizing the port now for the great work that it's done. And now when we look at the commercial side and the development of the San Pedro market, we see the brewery, we see Crafted, we see these things that are changing the character of this area, and we've made a contribution that really enhances who we are as a port. Well, it's always good to be back in my home here, Local 13, and tonight we're making the rounds because last year, you guys, the women and men in this hall in 63 and 94 moved 9.4 million containers, the largest number in the history of this port.
And the greatest thing I learned about the ILWU is they give you the right to be in the fight. It's the most democratic union. And, you know, the things that I've learned is, you know, in life, if you can be part of one thing that's special, it really gives you meaning in life. And I've been part of something that's been so special to us, to this community, to this country, and to the world.
And it's in that spirit of Dave and what he tried to do to bring communities together that we're all here today. And I would like to especially thank Octavio and the Ports America group for hosting us, and all of the workers and folks who have served us lunch today and took care of us so well. Thank you all very much. As many of you know, Dave liked to walk down to berth 46, all the way down at the outer harbor. And he would sit on a bench, either have meetings, we'd bring sandwiches out, or he'd just contemplate what the next moves were going to be to bring our communities together. I announced on January 10th at the Harbor Commission meeting that we will be renaming the road that leads down to that bench, 22nd Street South. It's now going to be called Dave Arian Way, because it was his way of doing things. It'll serve as a reminder of the man and his philosophy for productively engaging to make the world a better place. The state of the port is busier, cleaner, and safer than ever. Busier in 2018. It was another year for the record books, the third year in a row that we break our own record, and that's the sweetest part of all. About 75% of our business is geared to the containerized cargo, and it's because of the great work of ILWU Locals 13, 63, and 94, our terminal customers and industry partners, that we moved nearly 9.5 million TEUs of containerized cargo last year. We also lopped off a number of records. We moved 952,000 container units in the month of October, the most we've ever done. Broke our all-time record that was set just 11 months previous. And that cargo is also 200,000 TEUs more than any other port has ever recorded in North America. We had a run of 6 months of doing more than 800,000 TEUs. I think, ladies and gentlemen, that's a trend. And moving forward, we also combined more moves on and off a ship, the greatest exchange ever, in excess of 29,000 TEUs off the Eugene Maersk. Now, isn't that kind of appropriate? But it was the great work of our friends at APMT, and again, Locals 13, 63, and 94, that set a record that was just fresh also at APMT. The second half cargo surge was really brought on by our strong economy, low unemployment rate, robust holiday sales, but also a lot of folks advancing their orders ahead of escalating tariffs. Equally as important is the incentive program that Mike DiBernardo and Eric Harris designed to try to enhance our standing of competitiveness. In addition, looking at the cargo moving forward as well, we have to be really careful about how we continue to collaborate, finding efficiencies through supply chain optimization efforts, and stronger collaboration more than we've ever done. Our longshore workforce, terminals, rail providers, the drayage operators, and the new Pier Pass 2.0. With great thanks to John Cushing and the WIC-Matoa board, we're going to see advances in the way we manage our land transportation as well. The strong January volumes that we're witnessing right now will probably lead us up to Lunar New Year. We might even see a little bit of a bump before the self-imposed March 1 tariff deadline in the negotiations between the United States and China, but likely we'll see a little bit of a tapering off after that. In our other lines of business, vehicle sales did decline. Nationwide, we were about flat. Nissan, one of our biggest customers, was a little bit down this year. Liquid bulk volume also declined. But our other lines of business are showing great growth. Scrap metal volume is up, steel slabs 2 years in a row as well, and our winter fruit shipments to the fruit terminal also increased by about 8%, and that work will continue. Our cruise business is also starting on an upward trend. We'll do about 120 ships there this year off 109 just recently, and our passenger count will grow to over 600,000. Up from about 500,000. Some of the most popular cruise ships calling here are in excess of 1,000 feet in length, including the NCL 4,000 passenger Bliss, the largest cruise ship ever to call at our port. And ideas and business like this just doesn't materialize. I want to recognize again Mike DiBernardo and the Business Development Bureau for their tireless efforts in attracting cargo and what all of you have done to make this the port of choice. In 2018, we weren't busy with just cargo and passengers, but we were also busy building. We completed the on-dock rail yard at Houston Terminals, an award-winning $127 million project to modernize. And in May, we completed a $15.5 million Harbor Boulevard Plaza park improvement project, which is also winning awards. I want to thank and acknowledge Tony Gioiello and his Development Bureau to continue the delivery of that high value of infrastructure here at our port. Tony, thanks a bunch. And our capital improvement program generates economic opportunities across the region. We're particularly proud of the record in contracting with small businesses. In fact, last year, with nearly $100 million in contracting, almost half of that went to small businesses, and about 40% of that number, in $16 million, went to very small businesses. Under the leadership of our Executive Officer and CFO, Marla Blevins, we're going to continue to exceed the 25% threshold on contracting with small businesses that the Mayor has set out for our department. Marla, continued good work. And our commercial waterfront also had an exciting year. Visitors and economic activity continued to grow, with more than 3.1 million people enjoying our customers' retail, dining, and entertainment venues. Rain or shine, folks can't get enough of the San Pedro Fish Market, with more than 1.8 million diners last year. But 2018 was also strong for our other customers along the waterfront, including Catalina Express, the LA Maritime Museum, Cabrillo Marina, the brewery, as well as Crafted and the IO, with so many visitors now counting into 8 digits. Altasea at the Port of Los Angeles also had another tremendous year of progress. In fact, they met a major fundraising milestone, which allowed them to take possession of 180,000 square feet that will be in their future business hub. Altasea introduced us to SpaceX as well just a few years ago. And to date, SpaceX has processed nearly a dozen rocket and capsule recoveries right here at the Port of LA. That recovery operation is going to continue. And unfortunately, SpaceX has decided to move manufacturing to Texas. But their future here at the Port of Los Angeles is strong, and will continue to come up with new ways to create jobs and manufacturing opportunities in our harbor area. Partnerships like Altasea play an important role in bringing those enterprises to the waterfront. Tim McCosker, Jenny Caruso have been walking with us step by step to try to attract those businesses, jobs, and opportunities to help grow our harbor district, and I look forward to more of that work in the future. Thank you, Tim and Jenny. Our waterfront is also gaining notoriety for special events and programmatic activities. More than 370,000 guests came last year to attend the events that the Port of Los Angeles put on, and more than 250,000 folks joined us for LA Fleet Week, quick becoming an annual tradition. Sponsors included Princess Cruises and Amazon, which used the waterfront to premiere its streaming series of Jack Ryan. The following night, the Beach Boys headlined a concert in front of the Iowa, drawing even more visibility from around the region. And since Fleet Week, we've been receiving more calls than ever from event programmers, including Cirque du Soleil, who's going to bring in April, a month-long run of Amaluna. And with all of that great activity, there are so many folks to thank, but in particular, the United States Navy, Jonathan Williams, the Fleet Week Foundation, our port staff, and the LA Fleet Week partners that have made this now such a high-profile success. Thank you all. So it was another busy year activating our waterfront, a lot of planning and collaboration. And to that end, our newly created position of Deputy Executive Director, Stakeholder Engagement, has been taken up by David Libatique. His bureau and the work that he's doing trying to bring people together is going to spur even more creativity this year in 2019. Cleaner. These are very important years for the implementation of the 2017 Clean Air Action Plan update. And to that end, I would like to thank Mario Cordero and his team at the Port of Long Beach for their great partnership. Our collective efforts to advance the Clean Air Action Plan are the reason why San Pedro Bay ports are a global model for reducing port emissions. This past August, we announced a milestone in our Clean Air Action Plan. The 2010 Clean Air Action Plan included an aggressive emissions reduction series of goals for the port to meet by the year 2023. While we surpassed those goals of sulfur oxide and diesel particulate matter, nitrogen oxide was a real elusive opportunity that we just didn't capture. But in light of the cargo container growth, we kept chipping away. And in 2017's emissions inventory report released just last summer, we finally achieved the 60% reduction of NOx that we had pledged some 5 years in advance of our promises to this community. But we still have a lot of work to do. Between 2016 and 17, sulfur oxide and greenhouse gas emissions did edge up a little bit, but that's because we were bringing in a lot more cargo than anyone even anticipated. Yet, we continued to work away, and by attaining these 2023 goals is a tremendous achievement and really deserves to be celebrated. And it's because of many of the folks in this room, the terminal operating community, the railroads, the truckers. So much private sector investment went into these great challenges that it must be really the way the business model is going to run in the future. And we couldn't be here without you. Thank you all very much. And to top that off, it's Chris Cannon and all the folks that work in the Environmental Management Division. And we, as the Port of Los Angeles, have never been more committed to continue our global leadership role. We're also engaged in a growing global dialogue about how the role ports can play in reducing emissions from the maritime shipping industry. Our efforts this past year included hosting the 12th Pacific Ports Clean Air Collaborative Technical Conference that was held right here in San Pedro. We increased the interaction with the International Maritime Organization based in London. We also, along with 6 other leading ports, created the initiative called the World Ports Climate Action Program. And all of these forums are designed to reduce our carbon footprint, be better neighbors, and come up with sharing best practices wherever and however we can. In our port today, we are actively involved in no less than 15 zero and near zero emissions demonstration projects, leveraging more than $80 million in grant funding. As part of the California Climate Initiative grant that was just announced in September, we are collaborating with Toyota, Kenworth, Shell, and Port Hueneme on an $82.5 million shore-to-store demonstration project. This is going to be something else. We'll be testing 10 hydrogen fuel cell electric trucks for regional deliveries. We'll also have 4 zero-emissions cargo handling tractors to work right here on our terminals, and we'll have 2 new hydrogen fueling stations in and around our harbor district. It's an exciting initiative, and I especially want to thank all the folks at Toyota, including our lead engineer, Takioku, who's been a friend for a long time and is really showing leadership in this great area. Last month, as part of the Clean Air Action Plan, we also released our first feasibility assessment of the technologies that will be needed to help the port reach its long-term goals of zero emissions for trucks by the year 2035 and marine terminal operating equipment by the year 2030. We also been actively developing a concept called the market maker strategy. This involves working very closely with truck manufacturers, tiered suppliers, to help develop a market of the future, make ourselves a better customer than we are today. This effort wouldn't be possible without the participation of all of our port stakeholders in the private sector. And I especially want to thank Michelle Grubbs and the members of Mayor Garcetti's Sustainable Supply Chain Advisory Committee. Michelle, your leadership is greatly appreciated. You're making a difference. The work that this committee is doing is pulling together a number of subject matter experts. It also includes members of our community. So it's not just industry folks that are sitting around a table, but it's really bringing folks together to identify near-term technology demonstration opportunities, as well as efficiencies and the prioritization of grant funding opportunities. The environmental initiatives we are pursuing now are world-leading. And the only way possible to do this is through stakeholder collaboration and engagement. Our supply chain customers and partners throughout the business that we do are investing in clean technology, and we want to enable that. Again, by making ourselves very important to the folks who create these products and giving them a real demonstration lab right here on our 7,500 acres and combined with the Port of Long Beach in these great initiatives. Safer. Now, taking a look at the safety and the outstanding work of the past year in our port operations as well as our public waterfront, we are safer than ever. First, I want to acknowledge our port pilots who navigated nearly 3,600 ship moves in and out of the port in 2018. They did it at all hours of the day and night under all types of weather conditions, and they did it to perfection. Another perfect year without a scratch. Thank you all very much. In terms of public safety, instead of rattling off a bunch of numbers, the most serious crimes are down. Arrests are up, car thefts have been nearly cut in half, and patrols are up. We're doing everything necessary to make this a safer neighborhood, and with the priority calls that come into our dispatch, the response by the Port Police Department is at 5 minutes or less. This past year, we focused a lot of attention on communication systems upgrades to enhance the Port Police's responsiveness. We installed a radio transmitter on Catalina Island that virtually eliminated signal disruptions in dead zones around the Palos Verdes Peninsula. Our Port Police Department is also in the process of becoming its own public safety answering point, or PSAP. Once this happens, all 911 calls within our Port District will go directly to the Port Police Dispatch instead of going downtown to LAPD's 911 call center. This past year, we also moved our Threat Detection Center from the Maritime Law Enforcement Training Facility in Wilmington directly inside our Port Police headquarters right here in San Pedro. This has resulted in enhanced situational awareness and improved communications across the Port Police units. The Threat Detection Center provides 24/7 surveillance on U.S. Coast Guard list of our most critical infrastructure assets. Across our complex, the system's 460-plus cameras identify and bring to our attention any anomalies that detects human, vehicular, or vessel movements. Additionally, our MLETC in Wilmington is now an alternate emergency operations center for the city of Los Angeles. The facility has received a multi-million-dollar upgrade in equipment that will help both the city and port respond to the needs of our harbor area during a catastrophic event. Let's recognize Port Police Chief Tom Gazy and our entire law enforcement group, including our partners, for all that they do to protect us. I also want to thank and extend our appreciation to the men and women of the United States Coast Guard, U.S. Customs and Border Protection, and the Department of Homeland Security. The federal government shutdown has impacted the lives of these men and women who are essential to the health and safety of our port complex. We appreciate all that they do and their continued vigilance in seeing through on their mission, even during these trying times. Thank you all very much. Busier, cleaner, safer. Ladies and gentlemen, we've covered a lot of ground for 2018, but there's so much more that we're going to be doing this year. And it's the teamwork and partnership that many of you show day in and day out is the reality of why this can happen. It's sometimes really hard to conjure up the pure diversity of the activity here, and the pace sometimes is pretty hectic. But every hour of every day, every year, we continue to churn out these performances, whether it's in the community, our environmental stewardship, or our leadership in the shipping business. And it's such a remarkable place. Don and some others have put together a great visual of what this really means in our community. And Ken, if we could show the film next.
What we have here is a 24-hour nonstop operation. Today we're going to bring in one of the biggest container ships that comes into the port of Los Angeles. We get vessels from China, Russia, Ukraine, Korea, everywhere.
The most interesting time of the day is between 2 and 6 o'clock in the morning. That's when we have rush hour. You get the arriving ships that want to be ready to work cargo when the port comes to work, and you have the ships that are departing the port.
It's one of the largest ports in the world, and everyone thinks when you say I work down the port that you're working containers. Here at Posh, we work at break bulk, and we take pride in that.
Knowing that you're working at the biggest exporter, importer of the whole country makes it special. You can see everything full circle. We recycle here, we bring in all the steel, we export it out of here. You see all the new steel come in, the new cars, and you kind of feel like you were part of the whole cycle.
The most interesting time of the day here at the Los Angeles Cruise Terminal is the early hours of the day when we are running against the clock. In a single day, we can have as many as 20,000 people coming off and on.
They travel from all over the country to be here. Our business is open 365 days a year. You can make anything you want, we'll cook it for you.
You got people from all over the LA area coming down here. You have Crafted, Brewery West.
Port is a unique place to work because of the amount of diversity that's here. It's industrial, but it's not.
You can come here and, have a beer, sit in the sun, make a craft, find a gift, tour a battleship. There's just so many fun things to do down here.
We're here on the USS Iowa today. It is the spot where veterans of Los Angeles come to understand and see the history of Los Angeles and the military community.
We're doing one of the day sails for the 7th and 8th graders. It's kind of a unique field trip that a lot of kids don't get the chance to do, sailing on a ship like this and steering it through the harbor, and they get to see LA from a different perspective.
As a marine biologist, I can attest to how great the water quality is and how much wildlife there is. People can come and enjoy the wildlife themselves and just appreciate how clean the water has gotten over the last few decades. Come out on a boat tour, see the aquarium.
There's lots to do and see. You can go tide pooling, you can go to the beach, you can watch the ships come in. To see all of that right on the tip of one of the busiest ports in the world, and to see the diversity of animals that are here, it says a lot about how the port works.
The port is covered by a lot of agencies. We have LA County Sheriffs, LA County Lifeguards, LA City Lifeguards, LA Port Police.
The hallmark of our agency is maritime law enforcement policing, which we do on a 24/7 basis, 365 days a year.
No, this isn't a 9-to-5 job. We have staff here 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We do a diversity of things from landscaping and tree trimming to high voltage and pile driving.
My favorite time is at night. Around 6 o'clock we start. We have a good shift. We can move up to 30 moves an hour. It seems to never stop.
Isn't that something? Don Haynes and all the guys in the graphics division, homemade production quality material, just fantastic. And it really gets your blood pumping for what this port can do. Looking ahead into 2019, our capital improvement program for the fiscal year will continue with big projects such as the one at Everport, where we're going to be able to produce the depth and necessary alignment to make sure that we can take on the biggest and best vessels. We're also starting design work on rail enhancement projects that will provide more capacity for APM Terminal's Pier 400 with the on-dock rail yard, as well as at West Basin area for the rail network there. We're starting design work on the interchange reconfiguration for the westbound exit off the Vincent Thomas Bridge. A new northbound exit ramp will provide truckers with more direct access to the West Basin area terminals, and it'll make it easier for passenger motorists to access the World Cruise Center, where we're at here today, as well as Harbor Boulevard to see all of our waterfront activities. I'm excited to announce today that the public access investment plan that we designed back in 2015 will also allow us now to break ground on the Wilmington Waterfront Promenade adjacent to Banning's Landing. In addition, because of one of the nation's only infrastructure public access investment plans, we're going to begin construction of a town square in front of the historic municipal ferry building that houses the Los Angeles Maritime Museum. Adjacent to that project, we also begin construction on the new Market Walk Promenade, which will extend south from the town square to the San Pedro Public Market development. Later this year, we'll turn the north portion of the former Ports of Call parcel over to the San Pedro Public Market Development Team so they can begin construction on their first group of buildings, which are still slated to open in the year 2021. The south end of the public market, which will include the new home for the San Pedro Fish Market, and a supplemental environmental impact report is taking place right now for a proposed 5,000-seat outdoor amphitheater that will be operated by Nederlander Entertainment. With every iteration of the San Pedro public market designs, it's clear that this will be a vibrant shopping, dining, and entertainment destination where visitors will experience the port at work and the port at play. Adding to all this activity, Mike Galvin and our LA Waterfront Real Estate Group are promoting commercial development opportunities for new areas in our harbor district, including the 87-acre Cabrillo Marine Marina, the historic Warehouse No. 1 building at the south end of the Alta-Sea development, a new boat repair and maintenance facility at Berth 44, and the Outer Harbor Cruise Terminal that I mentioned a little bit earlier. All these exciting projects, and the biggest proponent of our waterfront development efforts, I want to specifically recognize Councilman Buscaino and his staff for their leadership and support in this area. In addition to the brick and mortar development, 2019 will also be a year of continued focus on our digital transformation. For nearly 3 years now, and in numerous forums, you've heard me talk about the Port Optimizer that has been designed and developed by General Electric Transportation. As a major solution for our efficient cargo flow through this gateway, we believe the Port Optimizer is the answer. Today, I'm proud to also officially announce that the Port Optimizer is going live and available for stakeholders to register and start using today. And to give you perspective on where we're at with the Optimizer, I think we have just one more video to show you.
Optimizing supply chain performance is important to every shipping operation, but when you process more than 9 million TEUs for thousands of shippers, it's not just important, it's critical. The Port of Los Angeles is working with GE Transportation to digitize, analyze, and optimize key supply chain execution with Port Optimizer. GE's Port Optimizer collects and analyzes data from across the supply chain and turns it into actionable insights, delivering improved operational outcomes such as increased visibility of inbound cargo status, improved predictability, enhanced productivity and throughput. Let's explore some of the ways Port Optimizer drives new levels of visibility and optimization for the intermodal supply chain. Port Optimizer dramatically improves visibility of inbound shipments, filtered by size, type, vessel, terminal, and ETA. Better forecast equipment and resource needs up to 2 weeks in advance. Receive dynamic ETAs directly from the Vessel Traffic Control Center. Port Optimizer delivers detailed information on each container, such as customs status, availability, last free day, dwell time, and more. Users can view milestones as a container moves through the terminal, from offloading to outgate. Port Optimizer provides a single portal to get the information you need to keep your cargo flowing. Port Optimizer allows personalized access for multiple stakeholders, ensuring that each stakeholder has simple and direct visibility to information most critical to their needs. Set up notifications to receive information that is important to you automatically. For example, be alerted when containers exceed targeted dwell times. Proactively monitor priority containers. Port Optimizer, driving new levels of visibility and optimization in supply chain execution.
The Optimizer will provide channeled access with 10 to 14 days advance notice of cargo coming in here through a great partnership with Customs and Border Protection out of Washington and El Paso. The work of this sharing information across all supply chain stakeholders will allow us to see more clearly of how we need to use our human capital, assets, and predict the movement of cargo for our chassis providers as well as our land transport companies. I want to thank specifically the ocean carriers that are providing the Port Optimizer with full data feeds that you see on the screen here. These companies now are accounting for about 60% of the cargo that moves through the port. Within the next 30 days, we expect to go live with data feeds from these additional carriers, which will mean about 95% of all the cargo moving through the Port of Los Angeles will be within the domain of the Port Optimizer. Now, this is a first step. No one else has done anything like this worldwide, but our ability to share information and make sure we remain as competitive as possible is a conversation of national significance. The cargo that traverses this port complex reaches each and every one of our 435 congressional districts in the nation. The Port of Los Angeles is important to our nation's economy. The Port Optimizer is also a brilliant example of where we're going as a port. No longer are we seen just as a landlord port, we're active members in the supply chain seeking to create value through our partnerships. This is the direction that was set by our board, and this was the course charted by visionaries like Dave Arian. In the coming year, we'll position ourselves to adopt new technologies and improve reliability, predictability, and efficiency of cargo flow throughout the entire San Pedro Bay. We intend to leverage the industrial Internet of Things, big data, and other emerging technologies. These technologies can redefine the way that goods are moved, not only through our port, but throughout the country. And the services related to the physical environment of our port complex will also be harnessed. If we can responsibly bring the potential out, these advanced solutions will reposition our port as a trusted partner in the digital space, just as we are with our physical operations. We can begin to solve persistent and systemic problems throughout the port complex, including truck queuing times, chassis dislocations, and other anomalies that really need to be shaped and formed. In doing so, we're joining a growing number of ports around the globe engaged in an effort similar to this. We are working with Chainport, the International Port Community Systems Association, and with the World Economic Forum, as well as the ocean carriers and terminal operators. This in effect to explore new technologies and associated policy challenges so we can evolve with the rapidly changing maritime industry. As we continue to advance in the digital space, we also understand that cybersecurity must be deeply rooted in all of our technology considerations. The Port of LA alone blocks 20 to 30 million cyber intrusion attempts per month. It's for this reason that we've created a cybersecurity operations center, the first ever at a port in this nation 5 years ago. In 2019, we want to work on a partnership with our terminal operators and other important stakeholders to establish what we're calling a cyber resiliency center that can act as an early warning system to alert our port community of active cyber threats. Partnership in the area of workforce development will also be a part of our focus in 2019. In a great partnership between the Pacific Maritime Association and the ILWU, we're working on developing a training program for longshore labor that can make the work of lashing containers safer and more productive. We're also creating an HR Directors Council. The Council will provide an opportunity for workforce development professionals to come together, share best practices, and assess resources together to seek out the best opportunities to assist companies here in this port that have specific workforce needs. I encourage you to seek out Aveen Sharma, who's our Director of Labor Relations and Workforce Development, if you're interested in participating. Seeing the jobs of the future is part of what we think we can add value to in this supply chain. Workforce development and the future jobs here at the port are also of great importance to Dave Arian. He believed that we had a role, more aptly put, an obligation, to invest in human capital in the future of our community. And with that, I'd like to thank you for sharing time with us today. It's been a pleasure again this year to serve as your Executive Director at the Port of Los Angeles and report to you for the 4th consecutive year that the state of our port is strong. We are busier, cleaner, and safer than ever. Working with all of you, it's our job to continue and perfect that balance between business, community, and the environment that leaders like our late Commissioner fought so hard to establish. Thank you for your business, the jobs you create, all the work that you do. All of this has such a profound impact on our nation's economy. And again, together, we can make 2019 another great year. Thank you and continued great support.